All right. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to another episode of RareFUD Radio. My name is Bison, aka BisonTrades on Twitter. Go ahead and check me out there. As always, I am joined by my co-host. Let's go ahead and bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Dorian. Dorian, how you doing, my man?
Yo, what's up, fam? You're too kind with that introduction, Bison. You're the legend, man. But
I
I'm doing
appreciate
great,
it.
man. Ready to talk about the market as always.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got our third co-host, primed and ready, Joe Soul. Joe Soul, how you doing, my man?
What's up, Bison? Doing well, man. Happy to be here as always. As always.
Yeah, we got another great episode. The market is feels alive again. We have some a breath of fresh air. Who knows how long it lasts, but for right now, we're gonna bask in it. We're gonna enjoy it. We are over 100K sold volume yet again. It's been like that for the past 24 hours. It's nice to see. We're seeing some projects rip. And the nice thing about this 100K sold volume is that it's not really off the back of mints or anything like that, which is what usually drove this volume over the past 2 months. If we saw this spike up, it was mainly because of mints. So this is all just based off of existing projects for the most part. We're seeing some great projects. Obviously, ABC's been doing its thing. DeGods continues to pump a ton of volume. We'll get into that, of course, in a second. Infected Olympus. So Infected Mob did some DeGod rework. Is number 2 right now, doing 7,123 sold volume. Massive numbers from them. I will consider that somewhat of a mint. So there is our one thing that's kind of propping up some numbers. But we have a ton to talk about today, as always. Let's start out with your market sentiment. So let's go, Joe. Joe, how you feeling about the market right now?
Macro wise, are we speaking NFT, Bison, or are we
Yeah.
speaking
Yeah,
crypto
let's
NFT?
I mean, we can lead down into it. So if you want to start a top down approach, that's totally fine with me.
Awesome. I mean, all right. So from NFT standpoint, I think we're doing well. I mean, obviously we have some volume back in the market. We have our blue chips that pumped nicely. We saw some liquidity go back into some undervalued builders, I would say. You know, you got your Blocksmith pumping. You had, I mean, everything. Degen Ape. You had Monkey DAO even pumped a little bit. You had Stone Ape Crew. I mean, Gothic Degen, Blocksmith Labs, all these teams, Catalina Whales. I mean, I think you saw volume come into every undervalued blue chip that's been here for more than 6 months. So for an NFT standpoint, I mean, that's great. People are having a little bit of fun. We're speculating on SPL tokens. We're having some one-on-one fun. Where I think the NFT is a nice safe haven for us degens during a bear market, right? Where we come, we find like-minded people, and we network and communicate. So I think it's a positive thing. NFT. Now we're talking macro, financial systems, crypto tokens. I mean, just the macro lens doesn't look too great at the moment. So there's a yin and yang to it all, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a microcosm in itself. We'll see if it remains resistant to the macro perspective. But yeah, the NFT market itself looks pretty good right now. Dorian, what do you think about the market right now?
Yeah, man. Joe said that perfectly. I completely agree with most of the things that you said, man. So I'm just gonna kind of piggyback off of you. But in regards to the Solana NFT market, it's great, man. I think degens are always waiting for that one sign of liquidity flowing back in the market to start participating again. We saw this during the first crash where like ETH was going down, like even the ETH NFT market was still going down and having troubles. The crypto market was going down, and Solana summer was just in full swing. So for Solana to go against the trend of the rest of the market, it's not really uncommon. So I'm looking to see a couple days or about a week or so of consistent volume over 100K before I get too happy. And don't get me wrong, I have been enjoying all these pumps in the projects recently, especially seeing I brought them during that lull. But I wouldn't get too excited yet. But I do think once Utes mint, hopefully people will start rotating that capital into other projects and bring back on the bull market.
Yeah, and that's an excellent segue. Of course, we got to talk about Utes because until further notice, this is pretty much a Ute stream. So we will be talking about Utes and DeGods. Obviously, if you haven't heard yet, the mint has been moved back to Sunday. So if you guys were anticipating setting some time aside for the mint, be prepared. Should be Sunday. We'll keep you guys posted as much as we can on all of our Twitter accounts if it does get moved back again. The Twitter accounts have been restored, though. Ute list is best watch on the Discord. I will go ahead and copy that link for you guys and put it into the YouTube chat. But yeah, they've resumed. It's nice to see people. A lot of people I respect that are smaller accounts in the Solana ecosystem are continuing to get that Ute list. It's fun to watch, but man, Twitter just kind of spoiled the fun, and I'm upset about it because it was nice getting Ute list myself. But it's more fun watching other people win as well. That was one of the most fun processes I've seen when it comes to whitelist. So, Joe, how you feeling about the Twitter accounts coming back up? That we're kind of back on track, but we are moving the mint back a little bit. Do you think that has anything to do with the Twitter accounts being suspended or something behind the scenes that we're not sure?
Yeah, I think obviously our whole framework as the community to give this Utes rollout to the public was based off a communication infrastructure that was taken away from us. So it's only I think the fair thing to do is to delay it just a bit, to be able to get our communication structure, which we did with the Discord now, right? So we took the API issue out of the equation. So yeah, I think it's a good thing that we delayed it. I think I've seen a little bit of displeasure with new DeGod holders that aren't sure about. We saying, delay is D-way. Like, it's just, we're not like making fun or poking fun. We've just come to realize that our founder Frank and the guys on the team, they want to, and the women want to absolutely make sure everything is running on full kill and before they roll it out, right? So when we say delay, we actually mean they are not just hanging out drinking smoothies, right? They're cracking each other's paradigms. They're coming at each other really to make sure the process is perfect. So I think, yes, Bison, that's a direct correlation, and I think it's a positive and bullish thing, honestly. And to real quick side note, look for some entries here into the ecosystem if you would like, right? Some people, right? It's very immature investors paradigm, so their time frame is a couple days. They buy it, it doesn't go up, they sell it, right? So look at DeGods, look at Dust, look at the ecosystem for some entries during this time of waiting and uncertainty, right? So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Dorian, how are you feeling about all that? Joe said it eloquently.
Yeah, of course he did. Joe's top tier. Don't expect anything less from him, man. Yeah, I agree with his sentiment wholeheartedly. A lot of this setback is due to the Twitter being taken away from those couple days. But you know what? It's like, I know a lot of people in the space complain about like, oh, there's a delay. It's like, oh, they're always pushing back. Well, guess what? You only have one shot to make sure your mint goes properly. And if that shot is ruined, you don't get a round two. And then everything else from that to that is downhill. So a lot of these people that really want that hurry up and mint mentality are the ones who are looking to try to take profit as soon as possible so they can move on to the next one. But the real true holders and the ones who are believing in the system and it's like understand what's going on behind the scenes, nobody's rushing. It's like, look, Frank, take as much time as you need to, dog. I'm in no rush. It's not like I'm selling my Ute. So it's like, just do what you need to make sure execution's flawless.
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of those things that when everything just kind of gives you a little speed bump, it's okay doing a little delay, right? We have so much hype leading up to this that honestly is probably good for DeGods, which, speaking of DeGods, we had the second largest Solana sale. Turned Up Dylan sells his full gold armor. I don't even know what that trait's called, Joe. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it just looks incredibly good. Going over to Pimp Capital for a whopping 7,033 SOL. Did it all on Magic Eden too, which I have to applaud them on, giving the percentage back to the team so they can continue to build, basically saying, look, I would not be in this position to sell this without the team doing what they're doing. It is one of those things that we talked about, Dorian, one of the points that you left in our show notes a while back, that we have to instill this bit of culture where we give back to the teams that have done so much for us. So I love to see it. I do think that you could have done it off Magic Eden as well and not given Magic Eden 2%, but that's, look, if they want to go ahead and give Magic Eden their 2 cents, by all means, go for it. I know they were cheering on the sidelines for sure, because that's probably the easiest couple hundred SOL they've ever made. But yeah, Joe, what are your thoughts on the sale? Do you think it's the next standard setting? Do you think this is the next leg up for DeGods, or where are we going from here?
So yeah, with this sale, I think it just proves to some of our more wealthy investors and their paradigm within the project. I know Free Lunch Capital, who that's his other username in DeGods, is he's also a Bored Ape Yacht Club holder, and he's actually looking to swap certain Bored Ape Yacht Clubs to DeGods. I mean, you can see the paradigm, and then you see all his friends jumping in, and you just see they are old money, even if they are in their 30s, right? For crypto, guys in ETH at $50 is old money, right? Depending if you're into BTC, then you're basically, a zombie. But so with this proposition of $200,000+ on an NFT that hasn't even seen its helm yet, I think it shows a lot of prosper, like an ability to grow here. And I think people with a lot of money and that actually work on capital preservation are coming into this ecosystem. So for me, looking at it as a business, I'm very excited as like an early investor. So yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Dorian, what did you think of the sale?
Man, I think that sale kind of shows like where big money is really looking at into the Solana space. And also it does provide more legitimacy to the space as well. It's like for the longest time, Solana was looked at the redhead stepchild of NFTs. So to actually see people over on ETH talk positively about Utes and Solana as a whole, it's like huge positivity for the future of Solana NFTs. So this sale kind of solidifies that. And I would dare to say like DeGods has the potential to rival Bored Ape Yacht Club one day. So it's like a lot of people are seeing that type of movement and seeing the community and seeing what Frank is building and are taking huge bets on that, as they should.
Yeah. And for me, it's always these headline sales, right? That we saw with CryptoPunks. We saw with Bored Ape Yacht Club as well. We saw with some of these other major projects where those big headline sales are what drives people to the project. They want to learn more about the project. It's bringing in money from ETH. It's bringing in institutional investors that are looking at this like, what is going on here? How can I get involved? And it may not be in DeGods. It may just be in Solana in general and say something's brewing here. So for me, this is a net positive for everybody. Yep. I love seeing these massive sales. Still didn't eclipse the Skelly King sale. I want to say Skelly King is the number one, the Solana monkey
like
business.
2 million, I think, at the time.
Yeah, that was nutty.
That's crazy.
And Bison,
look,
I wanted to add as well real quick was the fundamental analysis that we see with the $7,000 sale. You kind of want to go and look at actual technical analysis now. And if you looked when that sale happened, there's about 194 gods listed, right? There's about 151 listed now. And floor price is right at 500. There's one listed below, but that's been wash traded. You can see in the activity. So like right there is another great confluence. I mean, obviously I'm not speaking go buy DeGod. This price point is obviously outpriced for a lot of people. It'd be outpriced for me if I just came into the market. So I'm just saying use that in other, right? If you see a 30 soul sale on a floor that's 0.25, right? All right, go check some things out. It's just a trickle effect. You just kind of want to get your mind into that motion.
Yeah, Hello Moon has a really good way of visualizing this. They actually have a tab where you can kind of see the sales above floor. I can go ahead and try to share it, but Catalina, that's one of the reasons I bought when I did, is because I started seeing all these sales above the floor. And usually when you see something like that, that's a pretty good indicator of where the market kind of values this project. When you see rares getting off the floor versus just strictly floor sales, you tend to see a project rise with it. So just something to note there. If you guys do want some alpha, if you're looking at charts and you're saying, what's the last decision I need in order to make the sale, in order to make the jump into this project, that is generally a really good one that often goes overlooked. Now, speaking of DeGods, we do have Taiyo Robotics. Soulport Tom actually came out and teased that he wanted to use the application process for Taiyo pilots to kind of give the same scholarship opportunities to outside investors. It sounds like it's actually going to go through, which is very cool. We'll talk about that, as well as Dust now showing up in Phantom. If you guys didn't know, if you open up your Phantom right now, you can see the Dust value in USD. So now you don't look as poor if you're all in Dust in Phantom, which is nice to see. It's something that I think has been long waited, but maybe there's something brewing there. Dorian, I want to talk to you as our resident Taiyo member. Do you see this as a good synergy, and how many outside Taiyo pilots can we see being minted and how many applications? Do you have any idea as far as
Yeah.
that goes?
Yeah, so I think it's a net positive, man. Top projects collaborating with each other in an ecosystem is never bad. It's like the worst that happens is like Tom supports Frank utilizing his system, and then Frank utilizes some of Tom's systems. I mean, I'm sure these guys talk to each other. It's like, besides SMB, Taiyo is one of the only other projects that are up over 100 SOL right now. So it's great for these founders to be working with each other, and not everything's zero sum in this market as people try to make it seem. But in terms of Taiyo pilots, it's going to be a 12.5K collection. However, the ones that are only able to mint is only going to be around 3,000 of them, or 3.5K of it, because a lot of the pilots are minted or are already allocated through airdrops of oil, because a 5-liter oil gets you 1 pilot, a 10-liter gets you 2, and a 20-liter gets you 4.
Right.
Not only that, you have your mint passes that were already went out, and the first round of mint passes were 750 mint, 750. I think the second round was like 500 to 250. There may be a third round from what I've been seeing in the Discord, but that's not confirmed yet. So a large portion, and similar to youth, is already allocated to the community, which I think is great because you have already built this strong community and likely holders. But you also want to let more people in. And that's why the 3.5 remaining K will be allowed to use to help or bring in more people into the community.
Yeah, very well said. Joe, I kind of want to piggyback off that, as well as talk about, what do you think about the viability of scholarships, the Utes platform, as far as new mints go? Because for me, it seems like this platform is really good for established projects, whereas some of these other whitelist platform, or I guess projects that are looking to whitelist, would be better off just using the traditional route. They haven't established themselves yet as a viable project, and not enough applicants could apply, and that could be a bear sign. It could also give them a sentiment check on where their project is. But want to have your take real quick, Joe.
It's a great way to put it, Bison. Yeah, and I agree, right? This is an infrastructure. This is a business product that is not for everyone. When you're a small project coming in, you need liquidity and you need people to buy and trade. And that, how do you do that? You give away a bunch of whitelists. You don't really care about the quality of said community, or even if people are getting multiples, triplets, duplets, whatever, you know. I think this is for a said project that has some funds behind it too. Also, this is not going to be free, right? You're going to have to probably allocate speculation that maybe dust has to be required, a certain amount of dust maybe taken and staked involved or something, right, to show that you mean business. So I think there's going to be an aspect of a liquidity to it as well. So yes, I agree, Bison. You put it very eloquently that I don't think this is for a product for everyone, but also I don't think the whole Twitter shout out and everything has to be involved as well. I think there's many different facets to the infrastructure that can be utilized by teams and not be exactly what like we've seen, right? I think there's a lot more under the table that people haven't seen yet, and possibilities that will come from it. So maybe there is something in there for the smaller guy as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, Joe, I'm just piggybacking off your point, man, is that people forget, but there's announcements regarding Dust Labs immediately after the mint of Utes for the following 2 days. So on Monday and Tuesday, we're going to be receiving announcements about Dust Labs and or DeGods. But when that announcement happens, I'm willing to bet that it involves dust somehow, which is going to be bullish for DeGods, because that's the only collection that'll be able to accumulate dust through staking. So I'm really excited to see what comes from that.
Yeah, and people are getting the confirmation of if you get your U early and you don't wait, there's going to be something allocated. If you have a U and a dead god, you're getting an ETH airdrop, right? Like those are, and it's just funny game theory, and the paradigm of investors is so small in this space that all they can think about is how do I buy dust and Utes, and what am I going to sell it for? What about what comes right after? And that's funny. They're doing it almost a game theory where it's like, if you can't have delayed gratification for 24 hours, do you even deserve having your Ute? So I think all this goes into it, right? And this is another way to purge the community and build it how you'd like it without actually actively doing it. It's passively game theorying your community. It's next level. I mean, it takes some time to really think about. It's not face value. It's read between the lines. So
yeah, 100%. No, it is one of those things where I think it's going to take a little bit of patience to play out on some of these rewards that they have cooked up. And It's going to be interesting to see, because if you had done this in a bull market, I'm pretty sure people would stick around, or more people would stick around. Whereas we have a bear market, and I know a lot of mentality has changed. They're like, I'm taking profit, 2x profit, no worries. Back in the bull market, it's like 20x or bust, right?
Yeah.
So it is one of those things. It's going to be very interesting to see. I'm minting my ute. I'm chilling on the sideline, right? I'll watch it all unfold. You can send it to zero. I don't care. I obviously doubt it does that, but if it does, so be it. Dust is pulled back to about 290 right now. Did touch the 9-day moving average, so could be a good buy there. Not financial advice. Do your own research as always. Nothing on the show is financial advice, but we are seeing a healthy pullback. This could be a good time if you were ute listed and still need that dust to start loading up, or at least DCAing in, right? So moving on from there, talking still about the DeGods system is Blocksmith. And one thing I want to bring up about Blocksmith, look, we've seen some volatility in some of these projects. Blocksmith has continuously gone up pretty much day over day for the past 2 weeks. They've steadily raised from about 40 SOL all the way up to 84 SOL. Not enough people are talking about them. And I see Forge has continued to cook. It is one of the best movers over the past week, according to HelloMoon.io. And I see it talked about a good bit. I don't see it talked about enough. And one of the things I want to bring up here is that, look, 84 SOL, pretty rich for my taste, but I do love that they are builders. There's only 49 listed right now, which is about 1% of their supply. So we could see a supply squeeze. We could see a lot of people trying to FOMO in. It is relatively on the lower side of supplies of projects at 4,444. But I think the play here is taking a look at Dust. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here in a second. If you guys aren't watching on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and do so you can ask any questions that you see. But we can go ahead and check out what's happening with Blocksmith. So over the past 2 weeks, we've seen just a steady climb. It's basically linear. It's not even going fully parabolic, which is, for me, pretty bullish, right? We like to see those slow, steady increases, because when you see parabolic moves, what goes up must come down. These slow, steady moves to the upside, always good. But when we look at Forge, we see it has gone pretty good. But one of the big things I want to point here is the volume. The volume is massive on this. I mean, not talked about enough. We saw a huge volume on this move to the upside. And if we scroll on out, for me, this is a pretty big supply zone, right? So where it was resistance is now support. We'll see if it holds there. And if so, I really do see a pretty much clear skies for Forge. Pretty easy move to the upside, close to 80 cents would be my best prediction. So guys, I want to start with you, Joe, because you are our resident trader here. What do you think about Blocksmith, and what do you think about Forge?
It's funny that you just said that, Bison. I just posted a post about it before I even knew you were going to talk about it. And yeah, I love Forge. I bought some in the low 40s. I bought it strictly off of the art upgrade that's going to come. It's going to come after they drop a super, super sweet utility, another one with shift. And then it's going to be right on top of that. And I think there's going to be a supply shock, like Bison. It's just a strong-handed community. A lot of DeGod holders are in here. I know I minted like 4 or 5. I did end up trading and selling mine, which I do regret. I wish I would have kept one for exposure. I mean, their UX and UI to everything they do is so clean and crisp. I mean, I love these guys. I think Forge has a chance to kind of be their Dust if they do it correctly, right? And really incentivize the use of it within the ecosystem, without the ability to go look for liquidity right away. Well, not the ability to, but not the want to, right? Like you said, throw a little stop loss. I mean, you can't technically, but look at supply zone. If we use the supply zone, sell it for a couple % loss, you move on your way. If not, I think there's a lot of upside. Yeah. Not financial advice, just what I'm thinking out loud to myself here.
Right. Dorian, what do you think about Blocksmith Labs and where they're going?
Yeah, on more of a project analysis, vice TA analysis of Forge, man, it's like that team is top tier, dude. And like a lot of people sleep on Blocksmith because we're not in a bull market. But if you recall the last cycle, man, Blocksmith took off to like what, 120, 130, is because their ability to scale their tech to launch projects is unrivaled, man. Blocksmith was like eating up a large portion of the most hype whitelists that were coming out during the bull market, and you needed Forge to access those whitelist mints.
Yes.
Sorry, to access those whitelists. So it's like people are not paying attention to them, but as soon as, like, I know Blocksmith is working on a whole bunch of stuff. So as soon as the bull market comes back, not only Forge is going to continue to take off, but the main collection itself is going to continue to grow as well.
Right. Yeah. One of the things one of the big reasons I want to bring it up is because I think when we do hit a bull market, and look, if this volume continues going up, I think we're going to start seeing those projects pop up that says first 1,000 to react, gets whitelist. And once you start seeing those tweets, we can start seeing, okay, sentiment's coming back. We start getting some hints. One of the big reasons I like Blocksmith Labs as a play right now is because there is a huge amount of market share to be taken. People are already tired of Magic Eden as far as their launchpad goes. DGen Town really kind of like hit them hard as far as sentiment goes towards the platform. Hydra is completely gone. I mean, Hydra is non-existent anymore. After the Reptilian Renegade debacle, after the insider trading with Trip and Ape Tribe and everything in between, they're pretty much irrelevant. And honestly, they did not do that much in order for their projects to succeed. I think it was just a byproduct of the market. And I will be straight up in my belief that I think their staking mechanism kind of garbaggio. Don't think they're doing anything innovative. And I don't see Reptilian Renegade making a comeback, which I think is going to be the project that, if they are going to come back, that needs to be successful. That would get everybody attention back on it. I think there's so much market share here. And I already think that Bifrost is one of the best platforms to mint on. We already see transparency. We see it's smooth. We see it's the way to go. So having some Forge is indirectly having some exposure to the Blocksmith Labs ecosystem. For me, at 50 cents a piece right now, it is much cheaper than going and grabbing a Blocksmith Labs for 84 SOL right now. So this is a play I'm looking at as we've seen these SPL tokens continue to explode and still have some way to go as far as their all-time highs go. And Blocksmith Labs hit a 240 all-time high. We're seeing about a 5x return there if we were to buy here. Just seems like a good risk to reward ratio for a macro swing trade. So I love builders. They are up there with Taiyo, with Famous Fox Federation as far as the builders I respect most in this ecosystem. And I just think that there is a good play to be made here. So watch out for the ARP upgrade. Watch out for these projects coming out. I think they announced that they have 2 projects being released in September. We are September 1st right now, so be on the lookout for those. I think Fruits did very well, but the concept behind it was always kind of just meh to me. I didn't see any longevity there, but it was fun trading it. I think Sentries has more longevity, but I think it's going to take a little bit more to play out. If you guys don't know what Sentries is, it was their second project they launched. I think these other ones are definitely ones to watch, especially if they have really good art, because I think that's the 2 things that I'd say. Fruits was fun art, but it wasn't anything elaborate, right? Sentries, kind of dog water. I'm going to be straight honest with you. Just completely looking to the side, very 2D, very flat art. And I think that we are in a very art meta. Everybody's doing art reworks now. So just watching out for those kind of catalysts. But I think we are going to see the art rework post Utes. I think Utes is going to be a huge catalyst for all of these projects. We talked about Taiyo pilots probably going to start the shill machine. We're going to see Blocksmith Labs probably going to start doing their art rework right after. I think Chacon, I think Vandals, everything is going to start coming out post Utes. So this is going to be a huge catalyst for us. The sooner Utes mints, I think the sooner the market starts getting those major catalysts for a lot of these projects. Anything else before we move on Blocksmith Labs, guys? No, we're good. Okay, fantastic. We're going to talk about our next topic. First off, I want to congratulate both of you guys. We have made some fantastic calls over the past few streams. It seems like everything we have called has gone up, which I love to see it. We'll start with Joe. Love the Liberty Square call. I actually had it on my 5 under 5 list, but Joe came in with the heat as far as a much more fundamental analysis, already taught to the team, and got a way better entry than I did. We are seeing it pop up pretty much on the past 24 hours on the Smart Money Inflow here on Hello Moon, and it's gone up. We're at 4.3 right now, and Joe called it low ones, I think, Joe?
1.2.
That's right. So we're looking at a cozy almost 4x from Joe's call. We're at 4.5 right now. Joe, what kind of catalysts do we have coming up between now and the end of the year that you think Liberty Square is still a play?
Oh yeah, this is getting exciting now, right? Because we're seeing the sweeps happen over 3 sold, right? That's when smart money started to come in, and there was some before that, but I think they said, oh shoot, let me get some exposure here. I mean, everything's happening. We have burning coming, deflationary mechanisms. We have really cool lore that's going to be dropped, and one like art that's going to be in collections. I mean, there's 3 new collections coming. There's a few things that haven't even been touched on. They're on the roadmap V2, but it says coming soon. So there's a few things that haven't even been let out to the public yet. But as a community, I've seen that they've dropped their skateboard decks and some of their clothing and stuff. It's not just like some bull crap. It's really quality stuff. So I think they have the IRL utility. They have really cool lore, amazing art, and they have a great community with great moderators in there. So, I mean, they're building it from the ground up. And the founder is friends with all the right people, and he's a good guy, and he picks the brains of all the right people. There's literally, for under 5 sold, there isn't another project that I would feel wholeheartedly safe saying take a look at. You know what I'm saying? Like for under 5 sold. So yeah, big ups to the team, and I don't. There was another dip. I mean, an exposure for this is just grabbing one and hang out. Why not? The community is great. Jump in the Discord and see if you like it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Dorian, I want to kick it over to you too, real quick, because Scrap obviously did its thing. Pretty much called it at the lows, and we got a nice 3x from it. So we pretty much went from 0.3 to 0.8. Has retraced a little bit from there, and I want your take on it. Obviously, not financial advice or anything like that. Are you still loading up on Scrap?
Yeah, I'm honestly looking for another entry. I took profits. I got like a 2.53x, as you just said, Bison. I'm looking for another entry on it because Taiyo Pilots is still coming. Right now, there's not enough Scrap in the ecosystem for Taiyo Pilots to mint out. So, like, I'm sure once marketing starts, it's like Scrap is going to pump as well. Once again, a lot of people, as even Joe said earlier, a lot of people in this market are very short-sighted. It's like, yeah, Scrap is pumped, but guess what? It's going to pull back a little bit, and when marketing for pilots start ramping up, so is the price of Scrap going to increase as well. So I'm just really looking for another entry, and I need to do more research on the exact numbers of how many pilots are minting, how much Scrap is existing in the ecosystem, so I can really identify like where my exit range is, because I think a lot of people don't clearly identify their exit when they invest in something. They're just like, I'm going to ride it to the moon, and then get caught up in euphoria and wind up bag holding. So I'm going to definitely do a bit more research to identify a good entry and exit point on Scrap, but I am trying to get back in.
Yeah, so far I basically said that there's a range of 0.51 to 0.6, and now we've taken back off to 0.7. So hopefully it pulls back a little bit more for people to gain a little bit better entry. But again, all eyes are on Utes right now. And I think there will be pulling back. I think patience is a virtue, especially on these projects that aren't DeGods, aren't Dust, or Utes. I think that's where the volatility exists right now. But Scrap is definitely still something you should be keeping your eye on, because once Pilots comes out, once that shill machine starts happening, that's the next big mint. So keep your eyes on that. I do want to talk about Remnants. Remnants had a massive upswing. I've been shilling Remnants since the day it was born. We called it at 3, about 3.5. I basically said sub 5 was FUD. We are now looking at about a 6 sold floor price. It did pump to 7.4, retrace a little bit. I expected that. A lot of people were just waiting for some sort of volume there. So I imagine there's some take profit. I imagine there's some people who don't have time to play or anything like that and wanted to just, at least de-risk a little bit, because we do have some whales in there. No problem with that. No pressure. We will never profit shame you, right? If you're taking profit, no profit shaming here. I will say, though, that this is a test pump. We have not even released anything. I do know, and then let me pull up what I can share from Stud, the big man upstairs, when it comes to Remnants. So I wanted to get his take, because a lot of people have known by now, if you haven't seen some of the tweets, Longwood Labs is being released. There's a lot of cool stuff that's going underneath the umbrella of Longwood Labs, and I can't speak too much of it, but I just want you to know that Remnants is just the main component right there. Tons of arms going on. But I will say that Longwood Labs aims to be the Web3 game studio with an emphasis on idle gaming. So the stuff that if you don't have time to play games, no worries. You can still have fun. It'll still be playable on your phone and everything in between. Not only will we be making Remnants the standard for Web3 gaming, which already kind of is on Solana, but we'll also have a SAS, software as a service arm to drive revenue with some major names under its wings. That is all I can say right now. I wanted to get that approved by Stud, but there's a ton going on in the background. I will tell you right now, there will be a cool down. There will be some profit taking. That's fine, but I'm strongly encouraging you, not financial advice, do your own research. Jump in the Discord too, because I will say over the past 9 months of Remnants being around, it is one of the most active Discords I've ever seen by far, hands down. It's always popping off over there, but there's a ton going on. We're about 5% done with where we want to go over the next year or so. So make sure that you are checking out Remnants. Check out Remnants camps too. There's some cool stuff coming out for that. Get involved with this ecosystem. That's it. I think we have made a ton of good calls. We can't possibly go over all of them, but I do want to talk about some of our major ones. I still think Liberty Square is still in the smart money inflow. I think Scrap still on the table. There's definitely going to be plays made there. And Remnants, we have not even announced anything yet. So with these moves up and down, wait for it to breathe a little bit, especially if we haven't announced anything or teased that we're going to announce anything, because sometimes it is buy the rumor, sell the news, especially in NFTs. But there's plays to be made out here. Guys, I think that's really all the show notes I have, but I kind of wanted to open it up to you guys. Do you have any projects that you are scoping out kind of away from the prying eye of Utes?
Yeah.
Let's go with you, Dorian.
I'm still looking at Divine Dogs, man. I got 2 theories that I'm working on going forward. The first one is that one-on-one artists are going to start booming by working and collaborating on these existing or new coming 10K collections. And if there are well-known one-on-one artists already, that's going to bring more value to the collection that they're working on, or it's going to drive value back to their one-of-one pieces that already exist. So I'm looking at Divine Dogs right now because High Blinks is redoing their new collection. She's also launching her it's like her new collection. I know it's called, I think, Hoodlums. Yeah, Hoodlums. Her first 2 pieces have gone for over 100 sold, man. So it's like people already love her art and know that she's an amazing one-of-one artist. So I can only imagine how well and this new collection for Divine Dogs is going to be when that comes out. And I also think there's still a huge underlying narrative of engage to earn. We see Taiyo Pilots is a huge engage to earn system where you're going to be rewarded in graphite for engaging in different aspects of the ecosystem. bubblegoose has introduced their raid board. While these things aren't super hype right now, wait till a bull market comes around and people start getting insane rewards from engaging in these ecosystems. So I still think those are 2 projects to look out for as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And bubblegoose even did a nice little pump back up to mint price from that 5 SOL lows, which I haven't ever seen it go under mint price of 7 SOL. So that was a nice little gobble up of supply. I think it's still about 6.5. We have not seen the massive move up from bubblegoose that I think we are going to. So definitely always watching Wagme Beach. I still think that the thesis remains that once we see Utes, we see pilots, then we see eyes turn back to stuff like Wagme Beach. So Joe, what kind of projects are you watching right now?
Yeah, so for me, the only projects I'm looking at or any like quick opportunities I can see, hype coming in, and I can quickly enter and exit very quickly because liquidity with this market, any hype one-of-ones, anything like that. If you want to make a quick flip, they're great for long terms. You got to get in and out because the hype stays for only a couple of days. So that's the only projects I'm looking at right now, just because I'm so risk off and I have a lot of my money allocated to trading at this moment, locked up on different exchanges. So yeah, I think I'm going to roll out with my Utes, my DeGods, and my Dust, and hopefully create some liquidity from those plays, and then I can re-enter. I would love to be in the Taiyo. I would love to have more Remnants. I would love to have Cyber Samurai. I would love to have Divine Dogs, man. I would love to have a lot of these projects that have some good entries. So once I have some liquidity, man, yeah, I'll be looking to pad my portfolio back up. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited to let them play out and let them prove themselves too. If I don't get them in, if I don't enter into the exact bottom of the project, I'm fine with that. let them prove themselves. I'm good with supporting some creators, man. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I some of these plays are going to take, and look, expect drawbacks. I would say that's the one big thing that's happening right now, is that there's a lot of profit taking. So don't expect anything to just shoot up 20x. I'd say the only example of that in this market so far has been ABC, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Outside of ABC, don't expect that to be a norm, right? There's going to be 2x's, there's going to be 3x's. I was actually talking to one of my favorite artists, actually messaged me because he got in on ABC, which congratulations. I'm not going to name names here, but I do think that he was like, look, I'm not a trader. I have no idea what's going on here, but I bought a dragon at 1.99. The dragon floor is like 40 SOL. What should I be doing? I told him, bro, look, I know it's really hard when you have that cost basis and everything like that, especially in NFTs. I will say, like back in 2017, 2018, when I was trading those garbage coins, it was a little bit easier to let go of them because it's just a name. It's just a coin. Now, I was inexperienced back then. It was still hard for me. NFTs are way harder, right? You have an attachment to that JPEG or picture. This is why right now I'm not jumping in any Discords. I'm not really trying to jump in any group chats unless it's one-on-one artists, because I love doing that. I say, look, I'm of the belief that it's way easier to compound your gains versus trying to shoot for that 100x. What do I mean by that? Look, bro, if you got in at 1.99 and you can exit at 40, that's a 20x right there. Take those profits and maybe even take half of that. Set it aside. At least you have liquidity. Take that 20 SOL that you just made. Find the next project. Let's say you make a 10x or a 5x or something like that. Guess what? You just made 100x without having to go straight for the 100x. It's way easier to compound those gains than it is to just go straight for the kill shot. So when you see stuff like ABC, that's why we've seen this retracement. Dude, it was at 23 SOL in a bear market. It was listed at 1.23. You take your profits right now. And look, whether you're like, I would say the one big thing too is when you take profits, don't continue to beat yourself up about any further gains. It will be one of the hardest things in the world is bag holding and looking back and saying, man, I wish I had just held on, right? You make profit, you are good. Look for the next trade. This is NFTs. Everything, there's a new play every single day. So keep it in rotation. Keep yourself 2 steps ahead of the game. That's why we talk about scrap when everybody's talking about dust. That's why we talk about Blocksmith Labs and Wagme Beach when everybody's talking about Utes, right? These are the plays that when you position yourself ahead of the game, you're going to start seeing those gains. And take those 2x's, 3x's, 5x's, especially in this market.
Well said, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think people get too caught up in hype of like, oh, what's that next 100x or what's that next 10x? Look, stop looking for those. What's the next 2 to 3x? I guarantee you there's like 50 times more of those than there are the one trying to find that one project that's going to do a 10 or even 100x. Guess what? You missed out on it. It's fine. But even then, it's like a lot of people who are searching for these 10 and 100x's only allocate enough to pick up one NFT. So it's like you get into this degen play that does a 100x, you only have one or two NFTs. That's not going to make any type of substantial life-changing money. I mean, unless it like goes to like 1,000 SOL. So it's important to like mitigate your expectations and be comfortable with missing things and just finding things that, as you said, Bison, compound your gains. Is like multiple 2 to 3x's. You're going to make 100x in no time doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of wanted to open it up and tell, unless you guys have another project that maybe we're missing out on, but I think right now we've seen pretty much systematic pumps across most of the projects that we're looking at that it's hard to advise that you jump in now. I mean, even Bothead, dude, I didn't notice this until just recently, shot up to 6.45 from a 3 SOL floor. So another 2x. And it's one of those things where you have those, you take profits, and we're just going to chill on that, right? And at least I can de-risk now. And if I want to keep a Bothead bag, which I do, I can be fine knowing that it could go to 0 and I at least still may break even. So without further ado, I kind of wanted to bring it up to David Benito in the audience. Said he wanted some analysis on UW degens. David, I don't know enough about them. So I do want to let you know that if you guys have any suggestions, please let us know on Twitter. We are happy to do some research following into the next show, right? So we can't do it live on stream. I can do a little bit of TA right now, but it would be, half worked. And I don't want to give you any TA that is half worked. So If you give me 5 minutes, I can pretty much chart the world, but I don't want to do it live on stream. So if you guys want to give any project suggestions, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Follow us at RareFUD Radio. Follow us at BisonTrades, at Dorian_W, and there's a 3 in there. Don't forget it. At JoeSoul212. All of them on Twitter. You can always mention us, ask us any questions about a project, let us know something that should be on our radar. I do want to give a shout out to Anon Wolf, aka Alpha Wolf, part of the Cyber Samurai community, has brought up a mint on my radar, and it's Maxim World. So MXXN World. If I go to Maxim World, he did tag me on. They're actually doing cool stuff. I will try to bring up their let's see if I can bring up their tweet real quick. But they're actually doing a 1-on-1 auction right now on Form Function. See if I can go ahead and share my screen real quick. But this seems like a mint I actually want to get involved with, kind of like Joe's call for Eries in October. Some of the art that's going on here with Maxim World. So again, that's MXXN World without the O. If we can go over here, kind of reminds me of Cuphead style art, but they have a certain color scheme with it. Looks really visually appealing, really good art. I know Dean, let's see, I can't pronounce his name as far as how he wants to pronounce it, but Dean 3LR, right? You can follow him. He's one of the founders over at Maxim World. Really good guy. I have followed him. I talked with him a little bit. The project seemed like it has some promise and some legs. Just want to throw this on everybody's radar that if we are going into a bull market, it is time to start looking at some mints. So I want to shout out Anon Wolf for bringing this up on my radar. I've done some research. It looks really, really cool. He's a 1-on-1 collector. Obviously, 1-on-1s have a place in my heart right now. And just want to put that on everybody's radar because I think some of these mints do have some legs, like Eries, like Maxim World, like Pilots, obviously. But there is going to be a time in this market that we should start seeing some movement.
Yeah. You bring up a good point about like trying to get ahead of the flow now. And like right now, whitelist isn't the meta just because there's not enough liquidity where you need whitelist. But when the bull market does come back, you should already be trying to figure out which projects you want to get into that have the best whitelist opportunities instead of waiting during the bull market. So like if you can either pick up Blocksmith Labs or even Forge to have some exposure because most of their whitelist giveaways are done through raffling off a Forge. Pilots is another good example. So just like look on the market. Botheads is another good one. I know they're building a whitelist tool. Delius's Kid, I know they're doing a lot of whitelist collaborations. What else is out there? There's another one called the Cloud DAO. It was a small group of like 100 people, and the price of those NFTs for a membership pass is down now to like I think a soul. But I think they really shine during the bull market because it's such a small community, but they get some of the best whitelists in the space. So really look out for projects that you can get into to capitalize on these whitelists whenever the bull market returns.
Yeah, absolutely. Ybarra asked, what's your opinion on Mega Wobs? So Wobblebug's project. Cool art. I'll tell you that much right now. I don't know enough about it. And again, we will actually make note of that. And we can cover it on next show, which will be on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I will go ahead and start making notes of all these projects. And again, let us know on Twitter. We are happy to take requests. As we continue growing, we'll have to pick and choose. But these are 2 projects that we can definitely take some look into, see what kind of entry we're looking at, and if they're valid projects in our eyes. We will give a straightforward answer, too. Like, if I don't like it, I'm going to let you know right now. I don't like it. I don't know what Wobblebug does. I know I like the art. I always like the art, but it was a 3-soul mint, I believe, and it was a 10K collection, and it was minting in a terrible time. So maybe I think just like we saw with Vandals and Jacon and some of those other projects that released at that same time where they were mega hyped, Trippy World. I'm trying to think of what else came around that time.
Primates.
Yeah, Primates took off though. Yeah. So moral of the story was the ones that kind of got downtrodden by the market because they minted close to like a local top, got smashed because the market went down, and then they still kept building. So Jacon and Vandals are definitely examples of that. Maybe Mega Wobs by Wobblebug is also in that category. We'll take a look at that and make note of it right now. So UW Degens, I know that UW Degens, if I'm not mistaken, follows in the same vein as AI Degens, Gothic Degens, and kind of those art rework metas that's going on right now. Infected Mob obviously popping off. It's one of the hot NFTs these days, and they're doing great reworks. We've seen Infected Olympus 7.5 thousand sold in volume. That's crazy for an art rework. So that's unheard of volume. I really do like the rework that they're doing, but yeah, we'll continue looking at some of these projects. So please hit us up on Twitter. Guys, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we head off on this show?
I got nothing out there, man.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and make note.
Yeah, my only thing to say to you guys is to be careful of who you copy trade from. Be careful of following people. You don't have any idea what they're doing. If this is literally just a volume play for them, or if this is just something fun money, or don't ever you can take bits and pieces and then go do your own analysis. That's what you're learning from us. How to trickle your mind down the ladder of analysis, right? To find out a good base. And then you can pick and prod from everybody else to find confluence, right? But do not listen to us and go buy scrap or go buy forge, right? Go do a chart or go look at charts that are done and find volume ranges and then feel better when you're saying, oh, you know what? They're buying too. I have my own reasons for buying. So that's just what I wanted to let you guys know or remind you. Just be careful and always do your own research. It's your money, man. You got to be really strong and passionate about saving it and preserving it and growing it. If you really want to be successful, I mean, you really got to care. So
yes, 110%. I cannot echo that statement enough from Joe, because look, the reason I picked these two gents right here is because we'd rather educate you than tell you calls. We'd rather educate you than stir up drama or anything like that. We are straight up informational episode. Every single week we have two of them where we just talk about the market, talk about projects that's on our radars and why they are on our radars. I think it's really good to see the high level analysis that we do and deciding on some of these plays that have panned out pretty well. So we're here to teach you how to make those plays, how to make those calls, so you can help us too. Look, this is a community building exercise where like a non-wolf gave me that alpha. Looks like a really good play. I'm going to do some more research before I mint it. But look, if mints are coming back, I'm trying to stay 2 steps ahead of the market. I'm trying to watch some of these projects. Divine Dogs was another one that Ricky came on. Ricky came on and gave us, played out really well. We did a little bit of analysis. Look, high blinks alone was already enough there for me. That look, if you're doing the RV work, good enough for me. But the goal of this stream, even if it remains where it is right now with the viewers, I doubt it does. It's not supposed to be sexy. It's supposed to be educational. We're here to educate you on the market and hopefully make you money in the long run. That is all we were trying to do. So cannot echo Joe's sentiment enough. I appreciate you all for being here. Joe, do you have any closing, or Joe, Dorian, any closing remarks before we head out?
No, that was, you guys closed it off perfectly. And I would only repeat everything you guys just said. So no, I thank you everybody for tuning in, and it's great hanging out with you guys.
Well, I appreciate all the audience. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of RareFUD Radio. We will see you next week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you are subscribed on the YouTube. Make sure you can watch us on Twitter as well, at BisonTrades, at Dorian W, at JoeSoul212. And we'll see you on the next episode.